A life of sacrifice and silence. My name is Eleanor Wright. I am 70 years old. I sold my land so my son could build a big house. Now I sleep behind that house like something they want to hide. It is night when I tell you this. The lights in the big house are still on. I can see them through the window. I sit in the dark behind it. I listen to voices that are not calling my name. I often think about who I am now. I am a mother. I am old. I am quiet. I do not complain. I do not ask for much. But every night I ask myself one small question. How did I become someone who must stay out of sight? I worked on that land for most of my life. I planted seeds with my own hands. I woke up before the sun. I worked in the heat and in the rain. My back bent slowly over the years, but the land stayed with me. It was not rich land, but it was mine. Every tree had a memory. Every path knew my steps. My son was young then. He was poor and quiet. He worked hard, but it was never enough. I saw the shame in his eyes. I felt it in my chest. One night, he sat next to me and held my hand. He said, "Mom, we will live together." He said, "You will never be alone." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. I thought family meant sharing one life. So I sold most of my land. The paper was thin, but the decision was heavy. My hand shook when I signed my name. I kept a small piece behind the house. I told myself it was enough. I told myself we were family. I watched the ground change. I watched trucks come. I watched walls rise. The new house stood tall and clean. It was bright inside. The windows were wide. The floor was smooth. Light filled every room. Behind it, the old house stayed low and dark. The roof was thin. The walls felt damp. The air smelled old. I did not say I was sad. I just stood there. I looked at the new walls. I looked at the small space left for me. That was when warmth slowly turned into regret. When my son's wife, when respect starts to fade, invited her friends to the house, everything changed a little. I stepped out to greet them. I smiled and said, "Hello." She moved closer to me. She fixed my words. She fixed how I stood. She touched my arm and whispered, "Not like that." She smiled at her friends, but her smile was tight. My son stood behind her. He said nothing. I felt my feet move back. I stayed quiet. I watched my son in that moment. He looked at the floor. He did not look at me. My mind went back many years. He was poor when he was young. He felt small next to others. He felt shame when he had no money. Each time he failed, I stepped forward. I solved the problem. I spoke for him. I sold land. I carried the weight. He learned to step back. He learned to wait. Later, my son came to me alone. His voice was soft. He said, "It's only temporary." He said, "She is just stressed." He said, "You know, I love you." He did not meet my eyes. His words sounded like old days. I stood there and listened. I wanted to believe him. I held those words close for a moment. My breathing slowed. Maybe it would be okay. The next weekend, more guests came. The front door closed. I stood in the yard. I heard laughter. Inside, glasses touched. Music played. Low. The door stayed shut. My son opened it a little. He did not smile. He said, "Mom, stay outside for now." The door closed again. I stayed where I was. My hands felt cold. I waited. I picked up a broom. I swept the yard. Dust moved in, small lines. I sat on the wooden chair. I drank water. The sun went down. The house lights turned on. I listened to the night. I stayed still. I told myself to breathe. I told myself to wait. Then, I heard my name. It came from behind the wall. Her voice was low. His voice answered. I could not see them. I stood very close. The wall felt thin. I did not move. I did not know why my name was there. I stayed quiet and listened. Words that shouldn't have been heard, stood behind the wall near the back of the house. I was not meant to hear them. Their voices were normal, calm, careless. Then my daughter-in-law spoke. She said, "She makes me look stupid." I held my breath. My hands stopped moving. She kept talking. "My boss will be here next week," she said. Then she added, "I can't let him see your mother like this." She did not whisper my name with care. She spoke like she was listing problems. She talked about my clothes. She talked about my words. She said I spoke at the wrong time. She said I embarrassed her in front of friends and partners. I stood still. The wall felt thin. My fingers began to shake. I almost dropped what I was holding. My heart beat fast, then faster. My ears rang. For a few seconds I could not breathe. I did not cry. I did not fall. My body reacted before my mind did. I leaned against the wall and waited for the noise to stop. In that quiet moment, something became clear. No one pushed me away with words. No one shouted. No one told me to leave. But they changed my place. They changed my meaning. I was no longer a mother. I was a problem. I was no longer family. I was a risk to her image. I stood there and listened to my own breath. Ing. The house stayed bright. Their voices moved away. I stayed behind the wall. If I was the problem, I asked myself one thing. What would they do with me next? My son asked me to come, the sentence that changed everything, inside the house that evening. His voice was calm, too calm. I wiped my hands on my clothes before I went in. I thought about many things as I walked. I thought about my land. I thought about his promises. I thought about what I wanted to say. The words stayed in my chest. They did not come out. We stood in the living room. The lights were bright. The room felt clean and empty at the same time. My daughter-in-law stood near the window. She did not look at me. My son stood between us. He held his hands together. I watched his fingers move. I waited. I hoped he would look up. He did not. I wanted to speak. I wanted to ask one simple question. I wanted to say, "Am I still your mother?" My mouth opened a little. Then it closed. My throat felt tight. I felt my heart beat in my ears. I stayed silent. I waited for him. Then he said it. He did not raise his voice. He did not sound angry. He said it like a suggestion. "Mom, it's better if you stay in the old place. It's quieter there." The words fell between us. They stayed in the air. No one moved. I looked at his face. He did not look at me. My hands felt weak. The bag I was holding slipped from my fingers. It touched the floor softly. I did not bend down. I did not cry. I stood very still. My body felt heavy, but my head felt clear. I understood the sentence. I understood what it meant. The big house was not for me. I nodded once. I did not argue. I did not shout. I did not beg. I picked up my bag, slowly. My NDs were steady now. I felt something change inside me. The pain was there, but it did not control me. I turned toward the door. As I walked out, I felt my back straighten. I did not look behind me. The night air touched my face. I took one deep breath. I was hurt, but I was still standing. In that moment, I knew one thing. I would not make myself small anymore. I walked back, leaving without noise, to the old place without speaking. The path felt longer than before. I held my bag close to my body. My steps were slow, but steady. I did not stop. I did not look back. The big house stayed bright, behind me. Inside, I heard no one follow. No door opened. No one called my name. My son stayed inside the light. He did not come after me. I thought about his face. I thought about his hands. He avoided my eyes like he always did. I felt a quiet weight in my chest, but I kept walking. From the yard, I saw my daughter-in-law through the window. She sat down. Her shoulders dropped. She let out a long breath. I understood that breath. It was relief. She did not smile, but she looked calm. No one said, "Sorry." No one said goodbye. The house stayed silent. I stood still for a moment. My body felt cold, my hands felt numb. I listened to the night sounds. I heard insects. I heard the wind move the trees. The world did not stop. Only my place in it changed. I thought about the land I gave up. I thought about the years I worked. I thought about the word family. I went inside the small room, behind the house. The light was weak. The walls felt close. I put my bag down. I sat on the bed. My back hurt, but my head felt clear. I did not cry. I did not shake. I breathed in and out slow and quiet. I stayed there in the dark for a long time. I watched the light from the big house turn off, one room at a time. I waited. I did not know why. That night something small happened. That night the small thing was this. I packed my things. I did it slowly. I did not turn on the main light. I folded my clothes with care. I chose only what I needed. No one noticed. No one came out to ask what I was doing. The house stayed quiet. I packed a few shirts, my old sweater, and my shoes. I touched each item before I put it in the bag. I thought about where it came from. I thought about how long I had owned it. My hands moved on their own. My mind felt calm. I did not rush. I did not feel angry. I just packed. When the bag was ready, I sat on the edge of the bed. I listened to my breathing. I felt tired but steady. I waited for a sound. From the big house, a door, a step, my name. Nothing came. The silence answered me. I understood it very clearly. Later I stepped outside. The night air was cool. I looked at the big house one last time. The windows were dark now. The walls looked tall. I remembered the day it was built. I remembered standing on the land. I remembered believing I would belong there. I did not curse anyone. I did not ask why. I just looked. I stood there for a moment, longer. My shoulders felt lighter. I felt small but not weak. I had been pushed aside, but I was still myself. I turned away from the big house. I walked back to the small place behind it. My steps were quiet. My back, a quiet new beginning, was straight. Months passed. The days moved slowly at first, then a little faster. I did not go far. I found a small room in a quiet place. It had one window and a narrow bed. The light came in every morning. I cleaned the floor, myself. I cooked simple food. I learned the sounds of the street. I thought about my life. I thought about what I'd lost. I thought about what I still had. In the new place, no one looked past me. The woman next door said hello each day. The man downstairs helped me carry water once. I started to walk to the market in the mornings. I bought bread and fruit. I spoke with the seller. We smiled at each other. I felt seen again. I felt useful again. I was not rich. I was not important. But I belonged to my own life. Some evenings I sat outside and watched the sky change color. I felt my shoulders relax. My hands did not shake anymore. I still thought about my son. I'd still thought about the house. The thoughts came, then they left. I did not chase them. I did not wish harm on anyone. I did not wait for an apology. I chose peace. I kept my routine simple. I woke up early. I rested when I felt tired. I took care of myself. I noticed small things again. Warm tea, clean air, quiet nights. One day I caught myself smiling. It was small. It surprised me. I did not feel angry. I did not feel bitter. I felt calm. I was not hidden anymore. I was living in my own space at my own pace. Sometimes I still remember the light from that house. But it no longer pulls me back. I learned something important from this quiet pain. It did not come fast. It came slowly after many silent nights. When love costs your dignity, it is no longer love. Love should not make you shrink. Love should not ask you to hide. Love should not turn you into a problem. I also learned this. Family should never make you feel small. Family is meant to be a place where you can breathe, place where your voice matters, even when you are old and tired, when a home makes you feel invisible, something is already broken. And this is the last lesson I carry with me now. Respect is not a gift. It is a right. You do not earn it by suffering. You do not lose it by aging. You have it because you are human. I forgot that once. I remember it now. If you listen to this story, you may see parts of your own life. In modern families, pressure moves fast. Work, money, and image often come first. When that happens, people forget simple care. You may have helped someone for many years. You may have stayed silent to keep peace. You may think that sacrifice always means love. It does not. Healthy families have boundaries. A boundary is not a wall. It is a clear line. It shows where respect starts. You can help others and still protect yourself. You can love deeply and still say no. When you give everything, you lose your voice. When you lose your voice, others decide your place. This has happened to many people, not just parents. If you feel small at home, pause and listen to your body. Your body has told you the truth before your mind has. If you feel tired all the time, something is wrong. If you feel afraid to speak, something needs to change. You deserve a space where you can breathe. Start with small actions. Speak once, clearly. Ask for respect, not permission. Keep your routines. Keep your money and your time safe. Choose calm over silence. Choose dignity over comfort. You have lived many years. You have learned many lessons. You are allowed to protect yourself now. She was not beaten. She was not shouted at. She was just moved out of sight. Oh, think about this story. Ask yourself one quiet question. Is it still love if someone hides you instead of hurting you? Sometimes pain does not come from loud words. Sometimes it comes from being erased. If this story touched something inside you, you can share your voice here. Comment yes if you understand this kind of pain. Comment no if you still believe family is always family. If you stayed until the end, thank you for listening. Like this video if it made you reflect, and subscribe if you want more quiet stories like this. Take care of your heart.